Hi, the exercise of the week is toe spreading. Now, toe spreading is something that you can do passively using a toe spreading device or your fingers, which is what we're going to do today, or actively using the muscles of your toes, and we'll try that as well. So let's begin by crossing one ankle over the other knee. Now, this is difficult for you to do this position. You can put a few blankets, or stack a few blankets on the chair to raise your seat, and that will make this a little more accessible. So I'm going to start by placing the fingers between the toes at the ends of the fingers between the ends of the toes. So I start there with that minimal amount of toe spread. I'm just using the fingers of the other hand to kind of position the toes and also straighten them. And I just stop for a minute and see if my toes can tolerate that. Now, if the toes are really tightly bound together and unable to spread passively like this, they might be squeezing and pinching your fingers and actually cutting off some of the circulation. So just look at the color of your fingers and make sure they're not turning white. And if they are, then maybe start with a toe spreading device, which is something that will move your toes apart without harming another part of your body. So we're just going to hang out here for a minute or so. And what you can do if your toes tolerate that well is to start moving your fingers in and down. So you're moving towards the base of your fingers in deep towards the base of the toes. So this foot is a little tighter than my other foot, so I'm getting about halfway. And I'll just pause there. You can use your fingers to spread the toes further. Let's see if there's any more wiggle room there. And then eventually we're just going to see if the fingers can be easily removed. Okay, and then we'll switch to the other side. Insert the fingers between the toes. Let's start with the fingertips between the toe tips. And just check that your toes are willing and allowing that space between them and not harming your fingers. And if they are able to, you can bring your fingers down a little deeper. My right foot is a little more flexible than my left because my left has had some injuries. So there's some scar tissue there that affects some of the muscles and the tendons that run between the toes. So on the right foot, I'm getting my fingers right down into the webbing and to the base of the toes. And again, I'm just going to move my fingers apart a little bit. See if the toes are able to move a little further. And then you should be able to easily remove your fingers and place your feet down. Now, once our feet are on the floor, just bend over and have a look at the shape of your feet. And you might find that the shape of your foot mimics the narrow toe box shoes that we've all worn for a good portion of our life. Hopefully you're in a shoe that has a toe box that is nice and wide now and permits the width of your toes as they're spread. And look at the shape of your toes and see if you can lift your toes up and move them away from each other. Move them apart so there's some space between all of the toes. And the widest part of your foot ideally is the end of your foot, your toes. And then let them come back together. So bringing your toes together is also an exercise. It uses the muscles that pull your toes towards each other. And then the muscles that move them apart are muscles on the opposite side of the toe that pull the toes away from each other. So if you look down at your foot and imagine a line between the second and third toe going right down the length of your foot, you want to move your first and second toe away from that line and the third, fourth, and fifth toes in the other direction away from that line. Spread them apart, bring them together. Spread them apart, bring them together. Just try that a few more times. Anytime you have bare feet or socks, you can try toe spreading. And if nothing's happening, if this is a new exercise for you and your feet are just not responding, sometimes it helps to do the fingers at the same time so the brain can make the connection. So keep at it because your toes will get the message. And you will be able to develop some of those muscles again. We're all born with this skill. If you look at a baby's foot, They do all the things that they're supposed to do, and they've never been taught an exercise regimen for toe or foot health. It's just a natural part of the foot's movement that we've lost basically because of that narrow toe box that we've all been wearing. And of course, not really challenging our feet in very many ways. Okay, so that's the exercise for today. I'll see you next time.